Welcome to memorial service of Mr. Sales Training. We have gathered here to pay our last respects to Mr. Sales Training, who just passed away, but who will live in our hearts and minds forever. Born just after the Second World War, Mr. Sales Training was a larger-than-life character. We all knew him, and he lived a colorful and long life. Mr. Sales Training was also very successful during his heyday, I might add. Towards the latter part of his life, not so much. In fact, when he passed away, he didn't have a dime in his pocket, so the guys at Bizmind had to pony up for the casket. In many respects, Mr. Sales Training had been dying for years, although he always kept his game face on and his chin up. You could argue that perhaps he had turned into a grumpy old man towards the latter part of his life, always cold calling new sales managers and harassing old, long-gone customers with thinly veiled agendas of refresher courses in mind. But I want everyone here to remember Mr. Sales Training as a young, enthusiastic and optimistic person despite his personal decline, not the grumpy old man. Cherish all the good memories and experiences we all had. Great wisdoms were exchanged and, well, never really put into practice later on, but they were expressed and exchanged. On top of that, Mr. Sales Training got a lot of people very, very drunk on countless occasions. And some people even got laid thanks to Mr. Sales Training. So what happened to him, I hear you ask? Was it a murder, a suicide, or death due to natural causes, old age and wear and tear? I'm not at liberty to tell you that. But I can tell you this much. All those years being on the road, traveling, really took its toll. Mr. Sales Training also liked his drink all right, but then again, who doesn't? He also had to carry all those heavy course materials and folders around, and he was kind of like hunchback like a Quasimodo, to be honest with you. It all adds up, but all in all, it was a tragic death. That's why we had to resort to closed casket ceremony here. In Arthur Miller's play, Death of a Salesman, there's a fictional character, Willie Loman, whose life resembles that of Mr. Sales Training remarkably well. Willie Loman, the character in the play, was a tragic figure who was a traveling salesman from Brooklyn, and his career was really not going anywhere. And this was a great cause of anxiety for him. So he resorted to his fantasies of access and popularity and success, while in grim reality, his sales career was going down the toilet. In many ways, what happened to Willie Loman happened to you, Mr. Sales Training. You both believe that good looks and popularity are the secrets of success, even at the expense of added value, content, and impact. For those of you who never really got to meet Mr. Sales Training, I can tell you this much. Mr. Sales Training would love to tell war stories, usually from different industries, and 20 years ago, to be honest with you. But Mr. Sales Training overstayed his welcome a little bit. He would love to give speeches on the topic of obstacle of sales, never really understanding that for his listeners, it was the lecture itself that was an obstacle of sales. The professional salespeople in contemporary work life just could not justify the time investment necessary for his services. It is quite ironic that there are not more people here present at his funeral, given how social Mr. Sales Training really was. But I'm sure he's in a good place now. So fading his fame and fortune, I have to say. I'm sure he has passed into warmer lecture rooms and auditoriums with crisper PA systems. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You may bring flowers. Well, it doesn't have to be all that grim. He still lives in our sales app bizmind.com. Check it out.